Hello ladies and gentlemen. This is a little bit different today. I'm actually going to be doing a replay analysis that was sent to me via UCS. If you don't know what UCS is a gaming community. There's a lot of Rocket League things. Put teams together, do tournaments, just talk about Rocket League, stuff like that. I'll put a link in the description for their Discord if you don't already know what it is. And so this was sent to me from, I believe it was Jronge94. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name. In this game, he said he was Silver 1. And yeah, so he sent this to me through UCS, and I'm going to do my best to try to pick it apart and see what can be improved upon and see what was going right. So let's go back to the beginning here. One thing that I noticed from the start is both players went for the ball. In ranked, whether you're partied up or you're not, it's definitely a good idea to say who's going for it, or like if you're gonna go for it, say I got it, or if you want your teammate to go for it on the diagonal like that, or if they're next to you, just say go for it or take the shot. Having both players commit on kickoff is extremely dangerous, and not only that, but having both players commit in any situation is often very dangerous. It's good to stay back here, just kind of wait for the play. Being a little cautious, it seems. Now's a good chance to move up. It was a good hit to the side, give it to your teammate, let him have the ball. Not the greatest hit from him, but still, I can tell they're playing a little bit cautious. There probably would have been a better time to try and go for the ball and have your teammate come behind you. It's not a bad idea to wait, especially at this level, and just kind of wait on the ground, especially when the ball is bouncing high. Most players aren't going to be able to hit the ball or aerial up for it, especially not super quickly. That was a good pass off the wall to bounce it down. It's a good clear to hit it out upfield towards the side. It seemed to be a little late on the challenge there. That's just a bunch of roofs. I would love if Psyonix would put in a boost meter for replay mode, because then that would be super helpful for analyzing and doing stuff like that, because I'm not sure if he didn't have enough boost or if he just was hesitating or what. There, as soon as I believe, let me go back on this real quick. I believe this is the play. Yeah, okay, so here I'm going to slow this down just a little bit. So instead of going back to net, as soon as the ball hits the wall, you actually had the time to curve in at sort of like a, for lack of a better word, a curve, and reach the ball first and put it to the corner, whereas he's facing kind of sideways to the goal, so he's not going to be facing the ball very well and be able to get to it before you. But instead you just go back to goal and pretty much give him a free shot opportunity. Fortunately for blue, that doesn't end up in a goal. He hits that too far to the side. But yeah, if you have the ability to cut off an angle or hit the ball before your opponent, definitely take it. One thing that applies to any rank, no matter what level you're at, whether that be bronze or grand champ, is reducing the amount that you hesitate. This is a good push here. This is another situation that I noted before, is that his teammate here, Kolak, let's go to Kolak real quick. He's doing fine and he has an open net, but as soon as he touches this in, he can see that Jron, I'm just going to call him Jron because that's easier for me, is right there. And honestly, Jron has a much better shot since he's coming straight at the goal rather than Kolak, who's coming from the side, which would be a harder angle. So Kolak should have just let Jron go for it and put the ball in, rather than try and put it in himself. It's a good job though to get back and make sure that your defense is there. it would have been much better for Jronge to push out and move along the wall since Kolek was already back there. Seems to be just a little bit of a miss there. Execution is definitely greatly important. This was another moment that I saw that I just made a note of, in that there was really no need to go as far to the right on this ball. Ideally, it would have been better to let the ball bounce, go straight on it, and hit it off of the bounce. For those that don't know, hitting the ball just as it comes off the bounce gives you much more power towards your hit. And if you're able to, especially at these lower levels, put the ball up high and with power, not as many people are really going to be able to save it. There was another moment of hesitation. I don't know if he just isn't feeling confident in his airplay or what the situation is there, but Jronge turned towards the ball and then turned away from it, and they should have just gone for it as soon as they turned for it the first time and tried to make an aerial attempt at this. One thing that you should try to avoid if you can is driving backwards. Again, another mishit, just hitting the ball in the wrong place. Is try to avoid driving backwards if you can, whether that means half flipping. If you can't half flip, then just do a regular 180 turn, because driving backwards is much more difficult, especially trying to defend, and you're also not going to be as fast as you could be. This is kind of a weird mess play, but they push it out towards the corner. It's good just to be patient and see what's going to happen. And that was a good idea to try and challenge it. Even though they didn't get... oh, excuse me, sorry. Even though they didn't make contact with the ball, they forced their opponent to make a move. And this was what I was talking about with the half volleys. I'm going to go to Kolek real quickly. It was a very good play from him. Just waits and hits the ball off the bounce, puts up really high. Neither player on orange is really able to cope or handle with it, so the ball ends up bouncing in the net. Especially towards these lower levels and bronze and silver and probably even like low mid gold, hitting the ball high and with power is more than likely going to result in a goal or at least a shooting opportunity. That time it seemed like the movements was rushed. Had a little more time to set up a shot on goal. It's a good move back here. Man, excuse me, I'm coughing like crazy. These kind of plays, especially lower, is extremely difficult. At the very least, you want to try and go for the ball as soon as it hits the wall. If you sit and wait in net, you're giving your opponent the time to read the ball off the wall and get an easy shot. They waited too long to go up for the ball. It seems like Jronge is just waiting too long and waiting a lot on the ground and not really feeling super confident in their airplay. That was a very good challenge from his teammate. Took the pressure off of him. It's a good shot attempt, however. I don't know if Kolek noticed. That was just not a very good challenge. Out of all the times to go for an arrow, we'll just go back to this one really quickly before I go to Kolek's. Here, I'm gonna slow it down a little bit more. So Jack is already in the air there. There's no way, unless Jronge can get up extremely quickly, that he's gonna beat Jack to the ball or even meet the ball. His best bet is to meet the ball if he goes for an aerial. But Jack is already a good fourth of the way up to the ball. Jronge's best bet... oh man, my throat is just killing me right now. Jronge's best bet is to cycle back towards the corner, maybe grab boost if it's there, and then go back to goal and set up there. Instead, he goes for a very risky challenge, putting himself out of the play. Kolek's way upfield, and there's just no one back in net at that point, giving up a pretty easy goal. All Jack had to do was run it around the corner. And the last thing that I wanted to mention before finishing this is this shot right here. So who's in net? We got Jack in net over there. So what I don't think that Kolek realized is right here. You can see Jack just sitting in net. See what he sees real quick. He's just waiting back here, waiting for Kolek to make a move, and he just hits this straight to him. It would have been much better to just let this ball roll forwards, take it a little slow, and then try to dribble it to Jack. If worse comes to worse, let's see, Santana. If worse comes to worse, Santana comes up behind him and tries to get physical, but he's quite far away, so there's not a very good likelihood of that. And even then, they're not giving up possession straight away. So, with all that being said, just kind of, I'll go back to the beginning real quick. Just kind of like my final thoughts here. It seemed like Jronge was pretty passive and defensive most of the time. They didn't seem very confident in their touches or their decision making. A few things that I can point out to work on would be focusing on where you're hitting the ball and how you're hitting the ball, as well as trying to hit half volleys more and hit the ball off the bounce to generate more power, either for a shot or a clear, just to make the other team uneasy, especially around these ranks. And lastly, I think a big thing that really stood out to me a lot is how little they seem to go for aerial plays. And I don't expect them to go for sick freestyles off the ceiling and hit amazing shots, but just having the basic ability to aerial for a bouncing ball like that is actually a good example and pretty good timing, is something that could really help your game, especially around bronze and silver. Having that height advantage, being able to get up to the ball before your opponent can, because most of the time they're probably going to be just waiting on the ground, waiting for a situation where they can just jump at it. A good way to practice or start learning aerials is go into either rookie aerial training or pro aerial training. I can't remember, it might be pro, not 100% sure. And just don't worry about hitting the ball in the goal. Focus on going up for the ball and just making contact with it. That's the number one thing. So with all that being said, I think that's about all I can say here, and with everything that I've seen. So thank you so much for watching. Hopefully this was helpful and informative and will improve your play, and I will see you guys next time. Later.